What up? It's your boy Wall Street, and I'm back with a very important message. So thank you very much for clicking on the video, tuning in. I appreciate it. So what I want to talk about today is a simple message, and that is that your thoughts don't define you. Your thoughts do not and will not define the person that you are. Your actions will define you. So I think this is an extremely important thing that a lot of people struggle with, because if you're like me, and you have anxiety, you're an anxious person, you're an emotional person, on some level, you probably think a lot. And when you think a lot, you're bound to also think about things and scenarios that don't really make sense in the grand scheme of things, but your mind is just rampant. Your mind is thinking so much that it goes from one place to the other, and you're thinking about stuff that you don't really want to think about, right? So when that happens, it's important to understand that it's not because, you're a bad person, or you want bad things to happen to yourself or other people or anything like that. It's just the human brain is something that works upon experience, right, and stimulus. So in today's day and age, with all the video games and the movies and the TV shows and the stuff on the internet, we have so many things affecting the thoughts that are in our heads that it's normal to think about something that might make you uncomfortable, right? And the thing you got to do with that is just understand that it's just a thought, right? Thoughts come and go, right? And as long as you don't hyperfixate on it and you don't, compulsively think about that thought over and over again, it's probably just going to go away and you'll forget about it, right? But if you're someone like me who fixates on certain thoughts, it can be kind of difficult, right? So the key there is, if you're having trouble getting rid of a certain thought pattern, you got to do something that really takes your mind off it. Do an activity that involves a bunch of different, functions of your brain and your body, right? So like something that I like to do is I'll go play pickup basketball, right? Because if I go play pickup basketball, I don't really have a lot of time to, think about these thoughts that are making me uncomfortable while I'm out there on the court. I got to bring the ball up the court. I got to see my teammates that are open. I got to react to the play that's happening. You got to think a lot when you're playing basketball. So something like that can literally just force your mind off of that, and thinking about those things that you don't want to think about. That's the best way to do it, right? If you're kind of just, sitting somewhere and you're playing, let's say you're playing chess, right, with a friend. Like when you're playing chess, you have a lot of time in between moves most of the time to just start, having your mind wander. That's not really an activity that's going to help you get your mind off of these, uncomfortable things that you're thinking about. So you gotta do something that's going to involve your brain and your body, and you don't have a lot of time for your mind to wander. Because when you have an activity like basketball, like I said, or maybe you're playing something else, maybe you're playing a different sport, maybe you're playing tennis, I don't know. When you're doing something like that, you're not going to have a lot of time, for your brain to kind of think about stuff, and you're going to do that for a sustained period of time, call it 20, 30 minutes to an hour, 2 hours, however long you're going to be there, right? That's enough time to kind of get that stuff out of your mind, and you'll be able to kind of, finish the activity and go back to just, hopefully not thinking about that type of stuff, right? You'll be able to effectively get your mind off of it and go think about something else, right? So, but the key is to not hyperfixate on these things, because when you do that, it's not going to go away as easy, right? It'll eventually go away, but it's not really going to go away until you stop fixating on it. So, and let me go back to what I said originally, where is your actions define you, not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just thoughts, right? But a lot of people think before they act, right? Or, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people don't do that, but you should do that. You should think before you act, right? You should think about a decision before you make it, right? It doesn't mean that you have to overthink it, but at least think about it. You'd be surprised how many people don't actually think before they make, any sort of action. It's alarming, but don't be one of those people. Think before you act. So your actions are usually products of your thoughts. So when you act out something that you're trying to do, that will define you, because that is in reality, right? Your thoughts are not yet in reality. They're in your head. So, like I said, it's always good to think before you act. It's always good to understand why you make a decision. You should think about that decision before you actually act out that decision. But your actions are what will define you, right? So you might think about, some crazy stuff, right? Because you can't control your thoughts. As long as you're not acting it out, you're good, right? It's in your head. It's not reality. And as long as you can understand why you don't want to make that thought a reality, you're good, right? So don't panic, relax, take it easy on yourself. Because I remember I used to have the same struggle, right? I think I've said this before on the channel, but I was a pretty anxious kid, had a lot of, negative thought patterns and scary thought patterns that really made me nervous and anxious. And, I had to learn how to deal with those things, right? So I would go play basketball. I would go do something else. I'd play video games. I would do a lot of different stuff to just take my mind off of things. But I used to really get down on myself because I, used to thought like I was like broken, or, there was something wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with you guys, right? Like if you're having the same type of struggles, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just you have a more active mind than some other people do, right? And that can be a blessing and it can be a curse. You just have to understand how to control those thoughts. And, in time, you'll realize that it's frankly kind of normal. A lot of people deal with this type of stuff. So you don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to be down in the dumps that, you're weird or you got a problem or whatever, right? Think about it as you have a superpower. You just need to learn how to control it, right? Because superpowers can be very negative things if you don't know how to control them and you don't know how to use them to your benefit. So, like I said, guys, your thoughts do not define you. Your actions will define you. And another key point, always think before you act, because there's plenty of people in the world that do not think before they act, and that's how you wind up making stupid decisions and decisions that you'll later regret in life. So always give a little bit of thought to something before you put it into action. And just understand that if you're having thoughts that make you uncomfortable, you're having thoughts that make you feel sad, upset, you're having negative thoughts, you can't control your thoughts, just understand that those will pass. You just have to find the right method to deal with them, and you'll get there. You'll get there. So keep your head up, keep it pushing, do what you gotta do. But that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're struggling with something like this, please leave some comments down below. I'd love to talk to you all, touch base, see what's going on, and just see how I can help, man. So that's all I got for today. Take it easy, guys. Stay safe, stay up, stay blessed, stay humble, handle business, stand on business. Peace out.